Welcome. I'm Steve Davis, and we have another wonderful edition of the Roundtable. Today, we have an exciting, if not bruising, program for you, something unique to Jefferson College here on JCTV. Today, we're going to discuss mixed martial arts. With me, on my right, is Tony Biondo. He's a professional ring announcer for the MMA, and he has been on pay-per-view. He's actually a professional here with the International Fighting Championship. To his right, I have Dustin, another professional MMA fighter, and he's the head coach at the Domain MMA in St. Peters, Missouri. And to my left, I have Steve Berger. Steve is a three-time veteran Ultimate Fighting champion, and he's the head coach of Berger Gym here in Arnold. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for bringing MMA to Jefferson County, Missouri.
Thanks for having us.
I guess the first thing is we'll just start here with Tony, your arena. What is MMA?
MMA is an acronym for mixed martial arts, and it's a hybrid form of fighting. It encompasses a multitude of disciplines: Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, catch wrestling, sambo, boxing. It has evolved through the years, and MMA, by its own definition, it changes every couple of years. These guys, there's always new stuff, and fighters are becoming well-rounded today. But by today's standards, MMA would be the aforementioned disciplines. Like I said, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, wrestling. So it's just a potpourri, if you will, of fighting styles brought into one discipline, and that's what we know of MMA. That's what we know of as MMA today.
And we watch, of course, you see mixed martial arts, and pay-per-view is the big one, is bringing it to the masses. But again, growing up as I was, the whole big martial arts was karate, or actually in my day, I think it was taekwondo is what I practiced and studied. Never heard of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Muay Thai, and now that's all I'm hearing. So, gentlemen, what brought that to, I guess, the States, and how long has it really been here, or is it just now coming public?
Well, I'll tell you, it goes back quite a while ago. I'm not exactly sure how many years, but it was probably 60, 70 years ago or so. There was a gentleman by the name of Maeda, who was obviously a Japanese guy. He lived in Japan, actually murdered somebody in Japan. They were after him. He fled Japan and went to Brazil. He got befriended by Gaston Gracie, who was a politician there in Brazil, and Gaston had a bunch of sons. And Maeda, was very thankful because Gaston was very nice to him, made a life for him, helped him out tremendously, and Maeda was a phenomenal jiu-jitsu player, Japanese jiu-jitsu, which is more like the wrestling that we see today. It relies a lot off top position, control, and it does have submissions to it. But usually the bigger, stronger opponent is going to win. One of Gaston Gracie's sons, Elio Gracie, is kind of a smaller, weakly boy, so he was always getting put on his back by his brothers. And from that, he started taking these movements that Maeda taught him, and he started transforming them into a fighting system off his back. The guard was born, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was born. Elio Gracie became one of the best fighters in Brazil. They started opening these open style, freestyle, come as you are type matches. And of course, Elio's brothers followed suit. They became great champions as well. And then everybody is familiar with Elio's sons, Hickson and Hoyce. Hoyce came over here to the United States back in '92, I believe, and just took the U.S. and the world by storm with the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Now, Dustin, is that you teach? Is that what you're teaching primarily at your gym up there in St. Peters, or other arts that you studied or practiced?
Like he said, mixed martial arts is basically, it just encompasses a lot of different martial arts. For years, there's separate facets of fighting. And now what's interesting about MMA, when UFC came in 1993, it's been 17 years now, as they brought all the different styles, put them under one roof. Initially, it was basically like style versus style. What happened if it was like a spectacle? What happened if a karate guy fought a kung fu guy? What if a sumo guy fought a boxer? But what's happened, the sport has evolved. now there's not really separate disciplines. Now mixed martial arts is a discipline in itself. So now a guy just trained, they're multifaceted. They train all different aspects of fighting, and now MMA is basically a sport now. Guys don't come from separate discipline. Everybody's an MMA fighter. So it's
If I can touch on that, what Dustin was saying when they first started it, it was the age-old question: who'd win, a karate guy or a boxer or a wrestler or a submission wrestler? Well, what reigned supreme was the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, and it didn't take but 4 or 5 of these UFCs before these other single styles started realizing, hey, okay, let's study Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's not very good on its stand-up striking. It's not very good on its takedowns. It's ground fighting, because in Jiu-Jitsu, we didn't care if we took you down or you took us down. We just wanted to be on the ground. That's where the submissions were applied. So now all of a sudden you had mixed martial arts being born, where these guys were, all right, well, we're not going to try and beat these guys at their own sport. What we're going to try and do is develop a way to take them out of the sport, and that's what they started doing. Now MMA has become its own style. My school, I do have a heavy emphasis on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but my school is mixed martial arts. You know, I throw in the boxing, the Muay Thai, the Sambo, the Judo, wrestling, catch wrestling.
Now, when I was younger, many decades ago, in training, and as good as I was at Taekwondo, I'm sorry, the guy that was 6'2" and had the reach that was twice as long as I and the legs twice as long could beat me. I couldn't, you know. How does a small person compete in these activities?
I've always said, when it comes to, unlike basketball and other sports, there's no ideal body type in fighting. Anything can work. There's negatives and positives to every body type. At one time in professional boxing, there was a heavyweight champion who was 5'9", and there was a heavyweight champion who was 6'8". Any style works. You have to know how to work with your body type and make it work for, adapt it to your game. But anything can work. Any size can work. Any type of body can work. That's what's unique about MMA compared to, say, basketball, where you have to be tall, football, where you have to be a big guy. MMA is for everybody.
Well, Dustin's exactly right. You know, it's beautiful if in the sport, like take the opponent that you were talking about, the 6'2". In mixed martial arts, okay, if you can't get in on him, if he's outpointing you with his reach and stuff, well, then you take it to the ground. There is no height on the ground, you know. Doesn't matter. And there are other guys who were 5'2" that I've seen choke out 6'7" guys using these disciplines.
Well, that's what I was trained in. I remember one area when some gentleman, big guy, bouncer at a bar, come up and said, well, what are you going to do if someone my size picks on you? Well, just a knee to the groin, and now he was my size, and that's all it took. But in the ring, of course, with Taekwondo, that was, I think, an illegal move that back in those days.
I'm going to move my chair around.
But now, Tony, you mentioned you were an international fighting champion. We talked about Ultimate. Like anything else, are there different levels, like minor leagues or the big league? Like we had all the wrestling circuits, all the. By the way, this is not wrestling. This is true activities, right, gentlemen?
This is not fake,
fighting.
This is a legitimate sporting contest between two individuals. And you touched on different levels of the sport. Absolutely, we're just like baseball or basketball or even football. We have lower levels of fighting where all of us have started. And Steve ultimately made it to, in our sport, it's the holy grail of mixed martial arts, the UFC. That being the pinnacle of the sport, that's where ultimately every fighter aspires to be. There are some lower level shows. One that comes to mind, the Strike Force, which you see on TV. The IFC, the event that I work for, it's a lower level pro show. They're not at the level of the UFC. The UFC is as we speak, they're going global. Our sport's going global. It's the fastest growing sport in the world. But some of the best stuff that you see today, shows that Steve started on, shows that Dustin started on, grassroots MMA. These guys started on local shows in the area, and they get noticed, and they would, obviously these guys are, the top of our food chain for fighting. And Dustin has fought in Canada. He's been, picked up by other organizations, Apex, which was a really good, solid pro organization in Canada. Dustin fought for them several years ago. So yeah, you can draw parallels to baseball. I have a baseball background, so you can draw parallels to our sport of baseball. You can also draw the parallel to MMA. We have grassroots, and we do have what you might want to label as minor leagues. We have some smaller promotions that guys get their starts on.
All right, now we're talking about the sport and everything. Of course, boxing, it's real easy. We got a ring, and wrestling, we got mats. What do you fight? I mean, it's not the cage fighting that I'm seeing on TV. What do you guys fight in, or how do you?
No,
what
we
is the
do.
arena?
We, you know, like the training facility, mine is a matted area. I believe Dustin has wrestling mats up at his. I have actual mats, jiu-jitsu mats. I have a half cage set up around my ring. Dustin has a cage up at his place. We do. We train in the exact environment that we fight in.
But I mean, when you have a cage, the actual fights are in a full-blown cage. I mean, that's what I'm seeing on TV.
Sure, absolutely.
But is part of your fighting, do you really try to smash the opponent into the cage? I mean, do you use the cage as part of your weapon?
That's
or?
not it's no move that you're really taught or anything like that. But I mean, the cage is in there. It is a plexi-coated cage, so it's safe for the fighters. You know, if you're running an underhook and you do throw the guy in there, of course you can use it. You're not going to get a submission off that or anything like that, but you can use the cage. The cage is very implemental. Say you're on your back and you put your back to it and you're using it to crawl up the cage as you know, you're getting off from a downed opponent. You know, but it's yeah, it's an integral part of the fight, and you have to learn how to
It's
fight.
definitely a
in it.
weapon, not in the sense I think you think. You're not going to use the fence and say try to
Well,
hurt a guy,
we're
rub
talking
his
about
face
wrestling
across.
matches. They talk about the cage. Yeah, the cage
Yeah.
fighting and wrestling matches. You know, the cage was the weapon. You know,
Well,
try to-
and again, you know, I mean, we're a real sport. This is a fake sport. Nobody's gonna, you know, I don't care how strong you are, you're not gonna be able to cheese grate somebody's face over a fence. You know, I mean,
I think that's
type
where he was
deal.
going.
So.
Yeah.
You know, but
Right.
Steve, I think what Steve was touching on, the cage camp, some guys are very good fighting off what we call, if I watch Dustin at his school, he does drills where guys work off the cage. They work on getting themselves elevated off
Absolutely.
the ground, and they use that cage to get themselves standing so they can create space and make their position advantageous during the course of the fight. So I understand.
I'll always tell my guys, you know, bring the opponent into the cage, shift his body into the cage, you know, keep his back off it, but put the side, you know, there's different ways you can use that cage to help, but again, there's ways from being the bottom guy, you can use that cage to get yourself up too, so.
And in your activities, I mean, for the training, it just seems that most of it is almost geared towards the mat as the fighting. There's very few, you know, head-to-head, toe-to-toe, I guess, boxing or kicking any longer, other than maybe get the person to the mat. Do you have any, I mean, knockouts where the whole purpose is like boxing or kicking?
Absolutely, absolutely. We, you know, I mean, we train our stand-up just as serious as our ground. I know Dustin does too, and so does a lot of these other schools. I mean, it's mixed martial arts, and everybody is good at every facet. You cannot go in there a single-styled fighter anymore.
What age, we'll give you what age do you usually start the kids at, or what's a good age for a child
Well,
to
you know,
learn this, and what do you actually try to teach them at those early ages?
Early age, you can start at any age, but obviously you're not going to start doing any kind of full contact activity until they get older. But you can, most people, probably 90% of people who step in an MMA gym, they're recreational people. They're just doing it to get in shape and learn a new skill. They're basically simulate being a fighter. They have no intentions of ever actually competing. There's a small minority of guys who get so good that they get to the point where, hey, I want to try to compete and do this. Most people are recreational. But you have kids, you have women. It's pretty much for everybody.
I have a kids class starting January 25th, Monday at 5 o'clock, the Arnold Boxing Gym at 130 Richardson Road.
That's it.
So shameless plug there.
Yeah,
But,
That's fine.
And
That's
I think Steve
We're
will
going-
appreciate this. In Missouri, we are regulated by the Missouri State Athletic Commission. A gentleman by the name of Tim Lukanoff is the guy that oversees our sport. And I know you'll appreciate this. We do have, you have to be 18 years of age to compete in a sanctioned mixed martial arts event on the amateur level or pro level here in
Right,
Missouri.
and for my kids class, I'm having kids 5 to 12. I'm going to teach them wrestling. I'm going to teach them guard play. I'm going to teach them sweeps, reversals. But I'm not going to teach them any submission. Just for the simple fact, you know, at 5, 6, 7 years old, you may break your brother's arm and not realize the repercussions of it. So, you know, we'll save that. The adult classes start from 13 on up. You know, the ages are endless. Like Dustin was saying, 90% of my guys, they have no desire to fight. They just want to be part of a team, get a good workout, learn a skill in case any altercation happens on the street. You got the other smaller 10% that say, hey, I'd like to do this. And we have an amateur level all the way up to the top of the food chain, the UFC.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, but before we go, with me again here is Steve Berger, 3-time UFC veteran and the head coach at the Arnold Boxing Gym out in Arnold.
Berger's MMA.
And with me also, of course, is Dustin Seaver, the head coach of Domain MMA out in St. Peters. And then just a shameless promoter here, Tony Biondo, the ring announcer who sees it from the inside. Well, gentlemen, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Sounds great.
I am Jeffco Baseball. I am Jeffco Baseball.
I am Jeffco Baseball.
I am Jeffco Baseball.
Jeffco Baseball. Come see what you're missing.
We'll put anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Jeffco Softball. Come see what you're missing.
And we're back here with our MMA program, and before we go in, we're going to talk. We'll give the opportunity, gentlemen, to give us some war stories, some personal highlights, talk about the injuries that can be sustained in the ring and in your sport, what happens if you last too long in the sport. But before, we want to give another, since we're giving plugs here to your wonderful, we have the Berger's Gym MMA located in the boxing gym in Arnold.
That's right.
And Dustin Seaver here, at the head coach of the Domain, is it just Domain MMA?
Yeah, Domain MMA.
Domain MMA out in St. Peters. And here's something interesting, fatlipmma.com. Tony, what is a fatlipmma.com?
Fat Lip MMA is an MMA variety show, if you will. It's kind of MMA meets the Howard Stern show, meets the Joe Buck show, meets the Man show, meets Jackass. So we're really excited about it. We think it's going to be a lot of fun, and the launch will be February 1st, and you can check us out at fatlipmma.com. It's MMA shenanigans, for lack of a better term. That's about.
I can see it now. That's going to be the next show on the TV. We'll have a cable show. We'll move on
We're
to
hoping.
Fat Lip MMA. In fact, we'll start right here. We'll get a ring. But speaking of cable shows, I got a question here. Reality, your actual sport versus what we as a viewer see on TV and the TV programs and even some of the movies and such. What is it, reality versus the actual perception?
You won't see the Jean-Claude Van Damme holding the leg up and kicking a guy in a real fight. That's not going to be in the UFC. There's a lot of fancy movements that are used in UFC. There's a lot of great one-punch and one-kick knockouts, a lot of stuff like that. But all in all, myself and Dustin, what we teach, we've spent half a lifetime involved in these arts, and we just take what is best and we bring that in. The high flying acrobatic stuff is a lot lower percentage. It's not something that you're going to hit nearly as much, so you weed that out. The stuff for movies, it's all choreographed. You have a willing opponent. It looks great and it's really cool, but you've seen, like we were talking earlier with the earlier UFCs, karate's a great sport. I'm not knocking karate, but it's not going to hold up in an actual real fight wherever wrestling and boxing and Muay Thai and submission wrestling are all involved. It's it is a sport, it is a fighting art, but it's only a very small percentage.
Like boxing is a good old gentleman's sport where you guys are just, street thugs.
Absolutely, and in my opinion, when it goes to stand-up arts, I will always say that boxing will reign supreme. I'm sure I'll get a lot of people that'll tell me Muay Thai, but I'll put my money on a good boxer versus a Muay Thai fighter.
Now, what is
any
actually
day.
a Muay Thai fighter? What is?
Muay Thai is a very, very effective art, very, very good art. Actually, at the school, I have Maurice Green, who's an amazing Muay Thai guy, teaches the Muay Thai class up there.
Does that mean like boxing or
It's,
using your fist?
it's
or?
low kicks.
Boxing is the fist.
Right.
Kickboxing is the fist and kicking.
Right.
Muay Thai is punches, kicks, knees, and elbows. There's
Oh,
8
okay.
points of contact. So it's the most, when it comes to stand-up arts, striking arts is the most complete. Because it encompasses every kind of strike.
So they say.
So they say.
I think
And
you
I-
actually
I-
headbutt some in some.
Yeah,
places
and
in
there is,
Thailand.
and I'm not
Use your head.
knocking Muay Thai. Muay Thai is amazing, amazing sport, amazing art, but I just don't think the hands are as crisp. Now, when you take a guy who is a good Muay Thai fighter who also is a good boxer, okay, look out, But I was just saying if you're taking Muay Thai, because it primarily is lower body. It's primarily the kicks and the elbows. They don't have a lot of emphasis on their fists nearly as much. As a matter of fact, even their stance, it's almost a mano-a-mano who can take the most hits and stuff to the face with the punches.
Speaking of hits to the face and punches, Dustin, so tell us, you're in the ring now, you're actively fighting.
He used to be a model.
Now we got
I used to be
hits.
a good-looking guy before I started fighting. Now, speaking on perception versus reality, you're talking about punching. People always compare boxing to MMA. Like MMA is the new wave. Boxing's it's going extinct. But I fight professionally MMA, and I've also fought professionally boxing. I'm here to tell you, boxing is a much more violent sport than MMA. And let me explain. Most people look at MMA from perspective. Well, it's like boxing, except they take the gloves off and they can do what they want. You can also look at it from another perspective and say, well, MMA is or boxing is kind of like MMA, except you don't let the guys can't clinch, they can't grapple, they can't put each other in submissions holds. They just simply have to stand there and pound each other in the heads until somebody gives up. And even if they do get knocked down, the referees will give them 8 and let them, get the cobwebs out, then go back at it. So MMA is actually a lot more sophisticated form of fighting than boxing.
I'd like to touch on that too. In MMA, we have a pretty good safety track record. We have not had a death in MMA to this point. Knock on wood, and we can attribute that to sanctioning and MMA we have gravitated towards sanctioning and rules, and we've tried to legitimize this sport and make it what it is today. Boxing, that is a tough sport.
So about the trauma to the head. Boxing, you're constantly getting trauma to the head. I've had MMA fights where I did not get hit one time the entire fight. You win in the first round of a boxing match, you're going to get hit several times in the head.
Well, the nice thing about our sport is if you're getting beat stand-up, you have the option to take it to the ground, okay? And the punches aren't, they are hard shots, but they're nowhere near the same velocity when you can put your hips and body
sitting
into
down
it.
on his punches or something,
And people mistake padding the hands with those gloves. They mistake that as protection, and it's not. You take a cannonball and you pad it and fire it out the cannon. It's still going to do the same amount of damage. It's the exact same thing. I've never been hit with a punch, whether it was a bare fist or a 16-ounce boxing glove, that didn't hurt.
I'm just thinking, knuckles, fists. You don't get cut up. Tony's got an excuse for the reason he looks the way he does, but you gentlemen look pretty good without, too many scars or markings or anything like that.
It's all done with mirrors strategically placed.
Good makeup.
You got
people
Photoshop
wear.
guys here that are awesome, man.
Exactly. Take this mask off.
So, tell me, Steve, what would be, you say, your highlight, your claim to fame here in the MMA? What are you most proud of, or your accomplishments?
I got signed a contract with Bodog Fight, and they were on TV for a little bit. They had a little reality show, and probably my best fight, I got written up in Extreme Fighter magazine as one of the top 10 best MMA fights that every MMA fan should see. It was against Peter Jakosinski in Costa Rica, and we fought a great fight. It was primarily for an MMA bout. It was most of it, 90% of it was a stand-up fight, and it was a great great fight. I won the decision, and it's probably been the highlight of my career. And I've had quite a few good fights.
So you mentioned Costa Rica. You get to travel around. I mean,
Fighting's been good to me. I've seen the world with it. I've been to Japan. I've been to Russia. I've been to Costa Rica. I've been to Canada. Been all over the United States. As I was telling you earlier, I fought inside Trump Taj Mahal, the Bellagio. Met a lot of celebrities, and it's been a good, great sport to me. It's paid back.
How about an age limit? You know, the age, I mean, boxers obviously young sport. These are young. At what age would you say that, you know, okay, guess I'm getting a little too old for this MMA activity. The body can't take it any longer.
Well, if I was the director of a sanctioning body, I'd probably set the limit at 50. That sounds a little old, but you got Randy Couture, who is 46 years old, and he's one of the best guys in the world.
Just signed a 6-fight deal with the UFC. Yeah.
And he's fighting Mark Coleman, who's also, what, 45?
45.
Yeah,
So you can go pretty far.
All right. Now the question, I guess I got to.
That's rare though.
I got to ask because everyone really wants to know the finances, the money.
You know, it's
Like anything else, or
you know, it's funny. I started out on the bottom of the food chain. I went up to very, very nice pay to where I made a living off this type deal, and then I sunk down back, you know, bumped down a few paychecks too. So it's, you know, if you're looking to get into fighting to make the money that Tito Ortiz or Chuck Liddell make, you know, go find something else, because I think guys like Dustin and myself and probably 98% of these other guys do it for the love of the sport. You know, Dustin and I have been very fortunate that we could open up schools and make income from teaching and stuff. But, you know, even if you are one of the high-level guys, you know, you're only going to be hot for so long, and then, you know, the next guy is going to come along. So.
It varies drastically. You look at the UFC, which is the standard bearer of the sport. You watch the first fight of the night, the guy probably is going to walk away with $3,000-4,000. You watch the main event, the last fight, the guy's probably going to walk away with $400,000 or $500,000. So it varies greatly by what level you are.
all right. Now the next question is directed from the call-ins we got from the mothers. I'm putting my son, my daughter, in this sport activity. What's going to happen to them physically? What type of beating, injuries can a parent expect their child if they actually got into the activity and went into the professional levels?
Well, as Dustin touched on earlier, you know, I mean, hey, God made us this way. You know, it's kind of testosterone is in every male. So this isn't something that's new. Like Dustin was saying, boxing's been around forever. Wrestling has been around forever. This is just an offset that combines both sports. You had several guys, I know myself, you know, I wrestled and I boxed. You know, I just, you have a drive to do it just like every young man does. And I think that every young man should learn and be capable of defending himself. Like I said, that kids class that I'm teaching, I'm not going to teach the young guys the submissions, because I don't want them going out and hurting each other, you know, not thinking about the repercussions of it. Once you get to be about 13 years old, you have a good mindset and stuff. You know that, hey, I could get in trouble. You know, not only is Dad going to beat me up, but I could suffer some serious punishment from these movements. Then it gets smarter. You know, kids get smarter, they're able to handle it. You know, when you're wrestling, when you're boxing, you're always going to have black eyes, you're always going to have sprained ankles, just like if you're playing football or doing soccer. So, you know, it's just another sport. Injuries are going to come, but it's nothing to worry about more than putting your kid in football, you know.
Now, Dustin, we got Neanderthal man here talking about the testosterone in men. What about the young girls, the ladies? What do you think about bringing them in and training them and teaching them?
It's good. I say every gym. I got one. I think Steve's got a few. You got three or four.
I got quite a few, and it's funny. I can't even believe I didn't mention her. Barb Honchak, the best. I'll go on record saying the best 125-pound female right now in the whole division. I can't wait till Strikeforce gets a hold of her, or some of these other bigger organizations that are promoting women. She just had her pro debut. She was 9-1 as an amateur. Pretty much cleaned out the division. Had a very controversial loss on her first loss. We turned her pro, and it's funny, I tell everybody, we actually turned her pro 3-4 months before she actually ever finally fought pro. We just couldn't find a fight for her. Nobody wanted to mess with her. We sent her down to Albuquerque, New Mexico. She took on Monica Lovato, who was a 12-1, 2-time world champion pro boxer, a 4-0 MMA fighter at the time, was the hometown girl in a high-altitude fight. Barb came down there and just handled her with kid gloves. By the second round, Barb passed her completely out. And I wish we had a picture of her. She's just a cute little girl. She's you know, now what you think.
She's like isn't she like a research biologist or something at Washington University?
That's what's so funny about her. She's got a master's degree in a bachelor's in science in molecular biology and a minor in ecological biology. So, you know, definitely a scholar athlete. You know.
Yeah, not only will she quote Shakespeare to you, she'll kick your rear end in the alley, man. She's no joke.
And because of her, I've had several women who have come up, and more just for self-defense type aspect. I mean, how like we've been telling you, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is all about fighting off your back. You know, what sport is better for women? You know, if an attacker is going to grab them, throw them to the ground on their back, this is what we call the guard. You know, so this is a perfect way where a woman could actually choke out, incapacitate, break the arm of a would-be attacker.
All right, well, gentlemen, again, I want to thank you very much for taking time. We're going to give you one last plug. Dustin, tell them where we can find you if we're looking up in the northern part of the county areas.
Yeah, I'm Domain MMA is the name of the school. We're located in St. Peters, Missouri, right off Highway 70. We've been open for about 6 months. It's getting really exciting. We're getting a lot more and more people. I got some amateurs who compete in the local area. So come give us a look. Give me a call, 314-800-8232. Got any questions? All right, and Steve? It's Steve Berger.
Yes, sir. I am located at 130 Richardson Crossing Road, Arnold, Missouri, 63010. And my phone number is 314-277-6644. We have women's classes, adult classes, kids classes. Look us up.
And again, to give an extra plug, since this is local hometown, it's just driving by. It's at the boxing gym, inside the boxing gym.
That's right. It's the boxing gym. It's Berger's MMA inside of the boxing gym. We're a business within a business. And the boxing gym itself has wonderful cardio kickboxing and weights and boxing, obviously, as well.
Okay. And we get Tony Biondo, who's just a professional announcer here.
We will have the Gyra Cycle Fight Series. That'll be April 10th. It'll be the Gyra Cycle Bike and Fight Fest down at Al Hrabowski's Ballpark Saloon, 800 Sarah Street, downtown St. Louis, just 1 block south of Busch Stadium. We'll have about 15 amateur fights there. A lot of guys from the Midwest and the area will be fighting there, and I want to throw a special shout out to Gyra, and we want to thank them from the bottom of our hearts. They have been just tremendous supporters of our sport, and to Steve and I and Dustin personally.
Absolutely.
So all the people at Gyra, thank you, and continue to support those people. They're a great, great group and wonderful to work with, and they've been great for MMA. I can't say enough about Gyra Cycles down in Festus on Festus Main Street.
Well, again, gentlemen, thank you. This looks like to be the exciting new sport of the century here, the new century coming
Absolutely.
up, MMA. Again, thank you very much.
Steve, thanks for having us.
All righty.
I'd like to thank Bryant Roofing Company and Gyra Cycles myself.